All right, welcome back. And in this video, I'll be taking you about colors. Now, we all know that colors is the beauty, or color is the beauty of whatever we are doing. And we see that colors help us to determine and identify what an element represents or what a brand represents. I told my students something. I said, without color, we won't be able to actually see anything or do anything in this life, because color adds a concept, or color adds a definition to things. Okay, so how do we go about color? Now, what are colors? Colors, like I said, color represents the definition between objects and elements, and help us to add beauty or visual effect to what we are doing. And for this, I have a site, a very beautiful site that I saw called colorx.com. And in colorx.com, it can give you different types of colors and the X code. Now, let me just quickly talk about X code. What are X code? X code are codes that colors represent. So if you want to see a color like this, you don't just go into Figma and say you want the color blue, right? You actually have to put in the X code. There are codes that are represented in hexadecimal. That's why it's called X, in hexadecimal form, that gives you the name of the color in hexadecimal form. So if I want a color of this blue, I click on it, and what x.com does is that it shows you different variants, right? Variants of the color, how it goes from the color itself down to black, or how it goes from it down to white. So if you want any shade of this particular blue, it will give you the shades of the blue. All right, so it can also give you in different color formats in the CMYK or the RGB format of the color, and all you need to know about the color. So that is going to be a very good form. It's also even giving you an example of how it looks like on a white background versus how it looks like on a black background. It's also showing you how to add it in CSS for developers, showing you the text font color if you want to add it within a text in HTML, and if you want to add shadow to the text, how to add shadow to it. So it's a very interesting tool to use. Please do not be far from color.x if you want to get more info on the different type of colors. You can log in to have more features, but I'll just be using it basically. You can look at even the popular palettes. Maybe you don't even have what to do. What is a color palette now? A color palette is a color combination that has already been designed, right? So it can show you what are the different types of color variations. Let me put it that way. Now look at these skin tones. Now we can see these skin tones. It's telling you that, okay, these are the various type of skin tones we have. We have the dark. For ladies who do makeup, they usually meet this kind of thing in their everyday makeup, like where you see, oh, it's color 3, color 2, color 1, and all of that. And it shows you, you can choose to download the color palette as PNG, and once you download it, you can choose to open it and see what it looks like. You can also choose to import it into your Figma and work with it. So colorx.com actually gave you a lot of good advice, on ideas rather, on the X code, RGB code, and everything on how to get your colors up and running. So basically, let's go back to our Figma and deal with colors now. For an example, now if you click on this image, right, by the right we have our fill. Now what is fill? Fill, just like it says, is used to fill up a shape or fill up an element with different things like colors and the like. So if we see that by default we have this D9, 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 which is a color X, just like we have from our color X. It's the color code for this design or this color that we have if you go ahead and write in something, let's say okay, A3, and click on enter. This is what A3 looks like. It changes the color to something darker or lighter, so we can go from different color to various colors. We can also click on this minus sign here to remove the color. Now I told you, I said without color an element will cease to exist. Now it's looking like it's white. It's not white, it's actually colorless, right? And because it is not colorless, we can't actually touch it. We can't actually know where it is, so it looks like it doesn't exist. Although if I highlight everything by dragging from outside the frame into the frame, it actually highlights it and shows that there is a rectangle here, but we can't see the rectangle because it doesn't have a color, so it's more like it doesn't exist, right? So it's very good. So since we are talking with wireframe and we are drawing our low fidelity wireframes, now the low fidelity wireframes, like I showed you in this place, are more like just lines, right? So let's say we are drawing our low fidelity wireframe for here. Let me come back and click on this rectangle here to actually select the rectangle. I can go ahead and say, let me go back, and if I add this plus sign, it brings back the color, right? So we can have it like this, and this is our image section now written back. If you want to make it more low fidelity and make it more low and doesn't look like a design at all, we can come and remove the color and add something I call a stroke. Now a stroke is a color that stays outside or inside the border of a shape or an element. So if I click on this stroke, we see that it adds this black stroke around the image, so we can actually see what the image is and know that, oh, an image exists here. Or we can also give it that, I like this gray color, it was D9. All right, so we can give it this D9 and see that it actually shows up outside the frame, which shows that, oh great, this is my frame here. So this is actually good. I can also do the same thing for this guy here, where I remove the fill and add the stroke, right? Okay, so I can click on this color, and if I click on the color, it brings up these color palettes or color pane, where you can actually click on any color you like from anywhere, select from down, select from green, select from blue, and give it a color. But we are dealing with low fidelity now, so let's keep it to a particular color, which is something I've used here, and let's keep it to this color. Also come back to this shape, and we also remove the color, add a stroke instead, and keep it within this color. So we see we are starting to have something that has a low fidelity of a wireframe, right? And we can go ahead now, since we've talked about colors, we can go ahead. Okay, let me just show you. Basically, we can add color to, we can add a fill and make this fill other colors that we want to work with. So once we progress in the website development we want to do with our Figma, we can see a real life prototype of what we want to do, and we can actually start building what we want to do. So there's an example I already have here for there's an example I already have here for a low fidelity for an e-commerce site, where we have the purchasing of the items and all of that, and it's trying to load up. So we'll be using that, we'll be building that simple e-commerce website, which just contains an home page, a display of the product, you purchasing the product, and a congratulation page. So we'll be building that in low fidelity and also building that in high fidelity, and showing you what both looks like and how they can interact with each other. So once it come up, I just want to show you what it looks like, and we'll go ahead and start our design based off on what we have gathered here. So all right, so the design is finally up, and this is what it basically looks like. This is kind of like, will I still say, it's still a bit low file and a mixture of low fi and hi-fi, but it's more like an hi-fi because it actually looks like what it's supposed to actually be, but it still needs a little bit of adjustments to actually make it look real, like a real mobile app or something. So we'll be building something like this, and also we'll be building another site that looks like this is something me and one of my students were doing together. This is the real, we have here the real UB Zenith Bank mobile app, and we're trying to see how we can create something better or something similar with using our UI kits and all of that. So these are example of things we'll be working on. This is let me zoom this guy in a little bit. Okay, so this is an example of a website that was screenshot, and we will be working and seeing how we can build this or design this. So it's going to be a fun time, and we're going to be learning the tools for designing them as we go. So don't be scared about what the tools look like or how to do this and how to do that, and we'll be going into the course as we proceed into the design. So in the next video, we are going to be starting out creating these from scratch to finish, while I'll be showing you about generating your user persona, which will be using this user persona to actually create this and see what it is. So thank you very much for this, and see you in the video. If you have any questions so far on what has been taught, you can all just drop a comment for me in on our social media page, or just chat up our number and get it across to us. Thank you very much for this tutorial. See you in the next tutorial.